And now, Deep Thoughts by Brad and Gary.
Hello and welcome to the Not Ready for Primetime Project. We're Gary Seath and Brad Robinson.
And you're not.
This week on Deep Thoughts, we're talking about Gilda Live, the feature film. This film was released on March 28th, 1980.
We should say the Broadway show, the album, all of it. All of Gilda Live.
Well, sure. We can talk about the whole spectacle.
Because this is
the
anniversary of the Broadway premiere this week.
Yes.
I can't do math, but shit, what the hell is it?
46.
79 to 25.
46.
See?
Yeah.
I feel like I had the same issue during Meatballs a few weeks ago.
It was opposite, actually. I couldn't do the math, and you told me. So there we go. Now we're even.
So here we go. 46 years ago this week, Gilda Live Broadway premiere. There you go. August 2nd. But yes, all of Gilda Live.
You know what August 2nd is?
No.
Oh, my God. It's my birthday.
Oh, I thought you meant something everyone cared about. I'm sorry. Yes. Well,
some of us care about this. I'm pretty sure as many people care about my birthday as people did about the movie Gilda Live.
Yeah, much like Gilda Live, we're off to a stellar start, everybody. Whew.
So, Brad, let's just, before we get into the movie piece, like you said, this is like a whole Broadway show, an album. It actually started as an album, right? That was the first thing?
Yeah, so it originally started as an album. You're going to love this. Of course, it all goes back to Belushi. The success of the Blues Brothers and on their own, Lorne Michaels and Gilda as well, but, trying to get more of that Saturday Night Live success. So what else can we do? And obviously, if it's not Dan and John, your next best bet is Gilda at this point. It was kind of an answer to the Blues Brothers album where they were going to record an album. And even from the get-go, it was like a multi-step thing. It was going to be an album, and then they were going to take it to Broadway and be a one-woman show and also be a movie. And so there were grand plans right from the start. It was kind of like Lorne's anti-Blues Brothers SNL. This is the first official SNL thing to kick off from the show. So they recorded the album originally in the winter of 78 during the holiday hiatus. Bob Tischler was the producer. Paul Schaefer was the musical director, two guys who were very important and influential with the Blues Brothers. And they recorded it at an A&R studio in Manhattan in a small audience, about 200, 300 people. So kind of like a nightclub, I guess, like a vaudeville kind of act setting.
Yep.
And apparently, and this has been recorded in several accounts, that it just was not good. The recording, it seemed too small, too, tiny for what they wanted it to be. They had recorded it, and I think it was later that spring or that summer they had played it for Gilda and Lorne, and just everybody right away was like, this doesn't work. This isn't going to work.
Right.
But they already had the plans for this Broadway show, so the easy fix was, well, we'll just record the show. We'll record the show live in a theater, and it'll be bigger and better, and let's just do that. And so that's how it came from the original concept of the album, or the album at least becoming not an album first, but a recording of the Broadway show.
So why did they decide to do this as an album before the Broadway show? That's the part that never really made sense to me.
I think striking while the irons are hot and sooner than later. Like if you record the album in the winter, you could release it in the spring while SNL is still going on. Because if you don't, you know what I mean? If you don't record the album till the summer of 79, you're not putting the album out till the fall of 79. So if you recorded it sooner, you could put the album out sooner. And it's here's the album, and then months later there's the movie, or there's the Broadway show, and then there's the movie. You're tapping the well as many times as you can. Yeah. Where if it all comes out at the same time, it's what do you call it? Oversaturation, I think, is my guess as to why the steps were originally planned that way. Because it originally was, we'll do an album, and it'll come out in the spring, and then when SNL is over in the summer, we'll do the show. Right. People want to go see the show because they love the album and they want more of Gilda, and then we'll record it, and then in the midst of season 5, we'll put the movie out.
Right. Let's go back a little bit because you kind of buried part of the lead here, which is the Blues Brothers had been hot for, I don't know, 6-9 months when they record this album.
Well, their album
right?
had come out. Yeah, their album had come out in February, right? So their album had been out and had been a success by this point.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Lorne kind of says, I'm going to do something with Gilda because screw those guys. I need to capitalize on this popularity of the show. Right?
Yeah, before somebody else leaves. I mean, Chevy already left.
Right.
John and Dan are getting more successful on their own. He said, I got to do something
right
before Gilda wises up and runs away.
Yeah. And so really the idea was just a one-woman album then show of Gilda doing different characters, right? There was never anything else of her maybe doing a character film or anything like that, right?
No, this was it. I mean, this was the show was the album just in front of an audience. Yeah.
All right. So then they record this album in the winter of 78, like you said. A few months later, they listen to it and they're just like, this is disaster. But the show's going to go on anyway. And now they have all of this kind of, they have all the characters, all the actors in place and the writers and everything, right? Like everyone's on board. They brought all the writers from the show, or many of the writers from the show, I should say.
Most of them, yeah. Even a couple that weren't even on the show anymore. You know, O'Donoghue's back, Marilyn Suzanne Miller's back.
Oh, right. That's true. I guess it slipped my mind that they were gone from the show by the time all of this, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're putting on a Broadway show. And this isn't anything new really for Gilda, who's been acting on stage for years at this point. Like that's how she came up.
You're right. I mean, it's what she does. I mean, it's a spotlight on her,
right,
which she hasn't had in 4 seasons. I mean, and I think we'll talk about it when we talk about the show, but it's definitely a departure because it's all Gilda and only Gilda. It's not Gilda bouncing off anybody or playing with anybody. It's all Gilda.
That's true, isn't it?
With some Father Guido Sarducci to change it, mix it up, but you know.
And some Paul Schaefer to bounce off of every now and then.
And some Paul, that's true. There is Paul Schaefer. She's got Paul Schaefer. And the ladies from Rouge, yeah.
So Paul Schaefer and Gilda have a history now too. Like they go back years before SNL, obviously. And
I mean, I feel like everyone has a history with Gilda, but yes, you are correct.
I had recently heard an interview with Marty Short about his relationship with Gilda.
Of course you did. Of course.
So putting this team together, do you think Lorne pressures Paul into doing the Gilda show and not the Blues Brothers at all?
Oh, he 100% does. I mean, I think, didn't Paul talk to us about this? I mean, Paul Schaefer put together the Blues Brothers band. I'm just going to talk about John as much as I can.
Yeah.
And so this summer, the summer of 79 is when they were going to film the Blues Brothers. And Lorne put a lot of pressure on Paul. You know, everybody in this story is managed by Bernie Brillstein at this point. And which is great. And Paul tells the story where Lorne really wanted him to do it. And Paul felt, a loyalty to Gilda. Like you said, they had gone back to the days in Toronto. They probably had a thing together at some point. And John, I think, famously had that line where he said, tell Paul he's out of the band. He'll never be a Blues Brother again. And that's why Paul Schaefer is not in the Blues Brothers movie, is because he went and did Gilda live this summer, which is funny because there's a story in Paul's book or maybe the Lorne book where Gilda goes up to Lorne at one point and says something about how Paul seems sad. And Lorne's like, well, of course, he was in the Blues Brothers band. Now he's in the Judy Miller show. Of course he's sad. It's like, way to be a dick, Lorne.
Right.
But no, Paul stayed and was Howard Shore was the musical director, but Paul played piano and, as you said, was the bouncing off, the springboard that she bounced off a lot with in the actual sketches when there was somebody else other than her.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was something that I always thought was like what Lorne did to sweeten the pot to stay was you're not just going to be playing piano. Like you're going to be featured in some way.
You'll be in it. Yeah, you'll be on the stage. You'll be at a character.
Right.
Yeah, of course. I got to think too, it's just that history. Like he's going to go with Gilda. Like how do you not? Like if you've come up with Gilda, like how do you not stick with her?
Right.
As hot as John is, how do you not?
Well,
somebody like Gilda Radner, how do you not?
I mean, those are two very different personalities too, right? Like Gilda, someone that you came up with, seems to be very sweet and likable and everyone enjoys being around her. And John, who is a coked out maniac at this point, and you don't know where he is or when he's going to show up.
Since you're saying this like that's all a negative, apparently. I don't like your tone.
Yes, it was meant to be. So I'm glad you picked up on that tone.
Broadway, baby.
So then they go to Broadway. Show opens in August.
Yes, they had previews in July. July 27th, previews started. I think they had 5 previews. And then August 2nd, 1979, it premieres. Sold very well because they actually extended its run and they went till the end of September. They did over 50 shows.
That's crazy.
Yeah, running up till almost just literally 3 weeks before season 5 started.
Wow. Talk about just like running it dry.
Right?
Like, yeah, you're supposed to like, taking that time off to kind of recuperate and recover. But this is just going full steam. Damn.
And for the Broadway show, we should say Lorne Michaels not only produced, but directed.
Right.
So he's producing and directing this Broadway show, which we said written by Lorne and Gilda. As you mentioned, so many of the writers from SNL, Ann Beats, Marilyn Suzanne Miller, Don Novello, Michael O'Donoghue's back for a little bit, Paul Schaefer, Rosie Schuster, of course, Alan Zweibel, Howard Shores, the musical director, Schaefer's in the band, as well as we should say G.E. Smith.
Yeah.
Shows up for the first time on guitar.
When I was watching that, as soon as I saw that face, I was like, I know that smug guy. He doesn't have the ponytail, but he's got that face. I know him.
God, yeah, he's got the nice like 70s punk buzz cut going on.
Yeah.
There. Yeah, it is not the G.E. Smith we know and love.
No, it's not early 90s G.E. Smith with that ponytail slicked back. It is. I'm going to CBGB's later to watch the Ramones.
Do you know how G.E. Smith got on the show?
No, I don't. I genuinely was surprised when I saw him. So how did he get there?
One of the sketches or bits, however you want to call it, that Gilda does is Goodbye Saccharine, which if we remember on SNL, her backup singers were Jane, Lorraine, and Linda Ronstadt, right?
Yes.
So the backup singers on Broadway are 3 ladies from a group called Rouge, right?
Yep.
Desmond Child and Rouge. And the 3 ladies are Rouge. And at the time, G.E. Smith was playing guitar with that band.
Okay.
So when the ladies from Rouge got the show, they mentioned or offered up, you should audition G.E. Smith to get in the band for this show. And that's how he got in, was he was playing with Desmond Child and Rouge.
Got it.
They put his name up.
There you go.
Yeah. Right?
Very cool. It was fun to see a younger G.E. Smith.
It was interesting. Yeah.
So this show then on Broadway is a success.
It's a success commercially. Yeah. Like I said, the show sold out. They extended their run. The reviews, not great. A lot of people, I think the criticism that it got the most was, why would you charge people to come and see something that they basically could watch for free on TV every week?
Yeah.
Which, when you see the movie, it's, I hate to say it, but kind of a lesser version of what you'd see on the show each week.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting watch because there are so many similarities, but we definitely will get into that, I think.
And I think it was rough. Like you said, you're not taking the summer off, you're not relaxing. I had read, apparently Gilda had gotten so exhausted at times during this run that she would like have to cancel performances because she's just worn out.
Yeah.
So worn out.
That's crazy.
And it's interesting. I think just the vibe of the show at this time, and the show, I mean SNL, we've talked before about the Blues Brothers and how people felt about that. And I think at the beginning of this project, it sounds like everybody was behind Gilda Live. Like when they recorded the initial album, Bill Murray was really involved. Like Bill Murray acted kind of like an MC of the recording and was really backing Gilda up and supportive. And then by the time you get to the summer and now it becomes a Broadway thing and so many people on the show are going to it, apparently Bill, this is kind of what really, I think, ended their relationship or really caused a big rift in their relationship, was Gilda getting all this attention, Broadway attention, all the writers, going and putting all this energy towards it. And apparently, at this point, people were seeing it as a ripoff of SNL a little bit.
Yeah.
People being jealous of Lorne's attention because obviously, okay, here's Lorne. He's producing SNL.
Right.
And now he's producing and directing Gilda. Like he's putting all his efforts into Gilda, and what is he doing to anybody else?
Right.
So interesting dynamics of that. I think we'll get into, season 5 and just the SNL world of it all,
Right.
of where everybody's at this point.
It kind of helps to set the table for season 5, which will lead to a lot of interesting discussions.
Nothing helping
No,
into season 5 here.
Not at all.
Speaking of going into season 5, we should also say there originally were plans of this to be a touring show. Like she was supposed to tour this show like in the weeks or during the weeks in the fall once the show started. And I think they did it for a few weeks, and then everybody just had enough and was like, we can't do this anymore. And they stopped. But she was supposed to tour this show.
That's insane. It really is kind of crazy.
Especially when it's her and Don Novello and Paul Schaefer. Like you've got a lot of, it's not just her. Like it's not just Belushi flying away for a couple of days. Right. It's you have a bunch of components of this show. So it's interesting that was somehow feasible in somebody's mind of a plan.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So aside from Bill taking part in the album and then clearly not on the Broadway show, were there any other major differences between the two?
Not that I could tell. I mean, I think it was pretty much, here was the album, here were the songs, and we're going to just, instead of putting them on in front of 200 or 300 of our friends, we're going to, bigger theater and get fans in and play it that way.
And then they decide to make a film of the Broadway show.
Right. Which again, I think always was a plan.
Yeah.
They were always trying to milk it for all they could. So it always was a plan. Lorne originally wanted to direct. I mean, he was directing the stage show.
Yeah, he should direct everything.
And this is kind of really, this whole Gilda Live project is what really set up Broadway video.
Oh, right.
Like Broadway video was created to then start making movies from SNL with SNL people, and Gilda Live was one of the first ones. It was this, and I think Lorne wanted to make like a modern day version adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. So he went to Warner Brothers and had this deal, and was, it was Gilda Live, and then the script he was writing. And so this really kind of is also the birth of what we all know now as like Broadway video, right, of the production company. Yeah.
Interesting. So they get this young upstart kid named Mike Nichols to direct when Lorne can't do it, or it's decided that Lorne shouldn't do it, probably.
Yeah, when they took the film to Warner Brothers, who put it out, they had mentioned Mike Nichols. Maybe Mike Nichols should direct. And of course, Lorne at this time, it's kind of been talked about, like, wanted to be Mike Nichols,
Sure.
Wanted to make that change from, comedy to directing and an established director. And Mike might have been ripped by Bernie Brillstein at this point.
Really? That's funny. I had no idea.
I know Brillstein's involved in the conversation. He might have been the one, I think, that just told Lorne that he was going to direct. But basically, Mike Nichols took the job as directing, and everyone was kind of surprised because, Mike Nichols is an excellent director, but he had never directed kind of live to tape, a live thing. And at one point, I think Lorne asked him why he accepted to do it. And I believe Nichols' answer was, they accepted my price. Something like they accepted my quote, and I get 50 hours of travel on the Warner Brothers jet.
Oh, wow. Good for him. Mike Nichols, deal maker.
Which is interesting because apparently not the best, most involved, attentive director from what I've learned. Like, apparently he didn't talk to Gilda a lot.
Yeah.
And someone has described it as he directed with his little finger, doing as little as possible. Just put cameras up and record, and I'll take my paycheck and go.
Right.
Which, again, when you watch the movie,
yep,
could kind of see.
Yeah.
Kind of see that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting, though, because they filmed this at the end of the run, right? They did. What I thought was interesting was the whole setup, the whole opening montage of the film is, giving you this sense this is Broadway. They show the Winter Garden Theater where the performances were. It's all the hubbub, the behind the curtain stuff. But it turns out that they didn't even film it in New York at the Winter Garden Theater, right?
Movie magic, Gary. Movie magic.
Well, they fooled me.
No, you're right. So they do the entire Broadway run. I think it finished 3 weeks before the start of season 5. They then went to Boston. Yes, and I believe the story is there were union issues in New York, which I can buy, that they couldn't film in the theater due to union issues, so they went to Boston and staged the performance at a theater in Boston.
Right.
And that's where they actually recorded it. Which is interesting because Boston was the first stop of the touring schedule.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm guessing it was the theater they were going to be in like 3 weeks later. We're just going to come early, set everything up, and we'll record it. So they recorded most of it there. And then I think, again, when we get into the film itself, you know, they had issues, whatever. They actually had to recreate some stuff in New York later on that fall. So they shot some of it, I think, at BAM in Brooklyn. They had to reshoot some of the footage.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn. But yeah, no, they went to Boston. They shot, as you mentioned, all the interiors at a completely different place. What we should also say during this time too, well, just to kind of keep it in the SNL world, let's remember, and I think you know the dates of this better than I, but so now you're in mid-September, you're going to Boston to shoot this movie that Lorne is producing now, not directing. At the same time, he's having like a fall retreat for all the writers and cast going into season 5, which is also, I believe, right around the time he's learning that Aykroyd's not coming back.
Right. Yeah.
So he's trying to replace Aykroyd. He's hiring new writers at this point. And so all these new people are like showing up and coming together at this, you know, this like mountain resort in upstate New York. So he's like traveling back and forth from Boston from like rehearsals or whatever for the movie, and then coming to this retreat with like Franken and Davis and all the new writers that are coming. And I don't think Shearer's there, but he's like trying to figure out how to replace Dan. So it's like SNL is like a complete clusterfuck at this point.
Yes. Yes, hugely so. I think it's kind of amazing that they end up putting it together when you think about it that way, because you have a good chunk of people involved with the show not at this retreat where he wants to like regather the troops. And it wouldn't have happened if they didn't have to shoot in Boston, right? Like if they were able to shoot in New York, they would have already done that.
Well, you'd think they would do it earlier in the run or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's just interesting. And I don't know too, like at this point too, like I again, because Nichols is directing and the show's already run 50 performances.
Right.
I'm sure the writers aren't there anymore. I'm sure it's just Gilda and Don and Paul.
Right.
I guess Howard Shore. But so creatively, I don't think a lot of your creative elements are there because it's, you know, Nichols doing whatever he's doing, it's already out there. But it's just interesting, like how many balls you can keep in the air at one time at this point.
Yeah. Especially when some of them are not necessarily dropping, but not wanting to be in the air anymore. Like Aykroyd saying, nah, that's it for me. I got to go.
Yeah. I feel like it's right around this time is when he's like,
yeah,
see you.
I think you're right. Well, should we talk about the show now?
Yeah, we should talk about, you know, the movie. It's interesting. It is a recording of a one-woman stage show.
Correct.
Which is interesting because there were a lot of arguments apparently when they tried to do press for it, that some people were complaining that it was just a recording of a stage show.
Fair.
And Lorne Michaels is like, yeah, it's a stage show.
Right.
That's what it is. I don't think the studio Warner Brothers really ever got behind it.
No.
Because I can't even find a trailer for this.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
I think they knew what they had.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and it really feels to me like, all right, we're going to do this film for anyone who may want to see it that's not in New York City, has no way to get to New York City, and is not in a town that we might tour.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it was, or it feels like. It's just like kind of a documentary of the stage show, and take it or leave it. That's what it is. Yeah,
and they're placing their bets on Gilda Radner being a huge star, which she was. Let's not discount that. She's a huge star, and to your point, how many people are not making it to New York?
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, in theory, you're like, yeah, this could all work.
Okay, but let me ask you, does it? For you, as a viewer, as a Saturday Night Live fan, does it work?
No, it does not.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you.
You know, there's something about live theater, seeing something live and in person.
Yes.
And I think that's why the show was as successful. I don't even say quotes because it was successful. It sold out, extended its run.
Yeah.
Why that show was as successful as it was, because people who love Gilda Radner, you would love to go sit in a theater and watch her do her best bits in front of you. So I could see that being a success.
That's my question. Do you know going into it that it's Gilda Radner's best bits? Or are you expecting
Well, I think
something
you do.
different? They do know that at this point?
I think they do. You know, the one thing they do have, and we could play it here if you want, was like a TV spot, fittingly enough.
Uh-huh.
A TV spot. And you know, I believe the tagline they said was like, this could only happen in the movies or something like that. Some kind of cheesy tagline everybody hated.
Yeah.
Broadway. To her, it was the only place in the world that mattered. The place she dreamed about ever since she was a kid. But now she's not a kid anymore. She's the star of a Broadway show. And to get there, she had to give until she had nothing left to give. And when that wasn't enough, she had to lie and cheat and ruthlessly destroy anyone who got in her way. Things like this only happen in the movies. Gilda, live. Now on the silver screen. Rated R.
Was that Jane doing the voiceover?
I think it was. I mean, that is not great quality, but it sounds like Jane. I think it is Jane.
It sounds like Jane Curtin, right?
Yes, which in and of itself is funny to me. but
I mean, you're obviously selling this as Gilda Radner's best. You're selling this as Judy Miller. You're selling this as Loopner, Emily Little.
Right. But that's for the movie. I mean, I'm more interested as a theater going audience.
Oh, as a theater.
Yeah.
I think you are. I think it was like it's Gilda Radner doing her best characters for you.
Yeah.
In person.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, who would not want to see that? So that's why I was saying I understand why the show would be successful.
Yeah.
But it does not translate well to film, unfortunately. And Nichols does nothing to make that any better. You know, it's funny. It opens nice.
But what could he do?
No, nothing. I don't think he could do much. I think he did all you really could do with this. It's a nice opening, like you said. There's Broadway and the exterior of the Winter Garden. You know, it's obvious. They go behind the curtain. You hear the orchestra warming up. Gilda's walking around.
Yes.
God, she has such huge hair. And that's all they really do. And they do this a couple times throughout the film, I guess. Or they do. I don't guess, I know. But they do this a couple times of like Gilda getting, a quick change or whatever behind the scenes. But that's all they do. Other than record what's being performed on stage.
Right. Well, it was interesting because I kind of took that, like they're showing all these, quick changes and stuff like you're saying. And then it goes to Father Guido Sarducci out front. And it basically is setting up to you like the reason why Father Guido is here as an interlude is because she has to get changed. Like it just felt like it was setting it up for anyone who might be questioning why.
Oh, like you wouldn't understand it on your own.
Yeah, if you were like,
if you were at the Broadway show, you'd understand
the Broadway
that's why
show,
he's doing
yes.
it.
But I meant for like if you are in a theater somewhere and you're like, I paid to see Gilda. Why am I watching Father Guido Sarducci? Who, in my opinion, I enjoyed. I thought he was very good.
Yeah, at times. But I'll tell you why. Because if you took the Father Guido Sarducci out, you got a 60-minute film.
Well, no, I understand that. I'm just saying. I'm saying it was kind of setting it like because they kept going back to it in the same way. It just felt like we're giving you a reason why we have this interlude with Father Guido.
Why it's all not just Gilda. Yeah, sure.
Watching this, I thought, I think part of the problem with films of theater performance is that generally in theaters, especially on Broadway, the audience is so massive that you can't really hear the reactions of the crowd, right? So like 8H is a good example. It's a nice, small, contained space. You can hear when the crowd is into something. In these big theaters, you can't really hear that and properly, like, especially in the late 70s, mic the performers and get their performance as well as all of this, right? And I think you lose something in that.
Mm-hmm.
with Gilda's performance because you're not getting as much reaction. You don't think so?
I think you're being generous.
You just think it wasn't funny even to the live audience there?
I agree. Yes, and I think it is more so reflective in watching this on a film. Again, if you're live, I think there's the excitement of seeing
Sure.
Gilda Radner live,
Yeah.
and you enjoy it better. If you're watching it on film, it's very similar to watching it on tape, watching it on TV. And what I think you miss the most, and I think this is some of the critiques they got in the Broadway show itself, it's Gilda by herself, right? Lisa Loopner is great playing off Todd.
Right.
Rosanna Dan, and Emily Latilla are great playing off Jane.
Yep.
You don't get that in this performance.
No.
You know, Emily Latilla in the film and in the show is a substitute teacher in Harlem, and she's reading a book to kids.
Yes.
And she utters the "never mind" line to an empty audience of kids you don't see.
Right.
It's not Jane yelling at her and then she says it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think you really miss those supporting characters in propping Gilda up.
Yes.
To her strengths.
Yes. Well, and it's also like those characters, and there's even a joke in the Candy Slice bit that they are so made for a small space or for TV because some of the jokes and things are subtle, not for a big stage, a theater. There's the joke in Candy Slice that she did with Paul Schaefer that she did in one of the sketches with Bill where she spit the booze back on him.
Yep,
right?
Yep.
Like that does not play in a big theater because you can't really see it when you're 20 rows back. And so it's all of these little nuances and things that I think you lose. And I think this is where, to your point of Mike Nichols not helping things,
right?
The way in which it's filmed, it's not really helped either because
I agree.
You have that sense of being further back in the audience, I think.
Let me ask you Candy Slice, because I think this is the one bit that I noticed the most. Did it feel really like subdued to you? Like not as fresh and as exciting as, honestly, the first time we saw it?
Oh, I would. Yes. I don't think that's only Candy Slice, though. But I think it's.
I noticed that they're the most.
Yeah, because I think with the other Candy Slice bits, one, there are a lot more people around in those on set, right? And like in the whole thing.
Right.
And two, the only person she interacts with is Paul. And she doesn't even really interact, right? It's like most of it's on him as opposed to Bill. And that's just, they're very different performers.
Well, I even had that note because Paul tries to do the Coke gag of like, here, sniff, sniff. And I goes, he's like, not as smooth or as funny as Bill Murray.
Right. Right. No, and there was a lot of that too.
But I think there's something to the fact of on SNL, we saw Candy Slice twice.
Yep.
So the first time is like, holy shit. And the second time you're like, oh my God, it's still there.
Yeah.
You've now done this 50 times in the span of 4 weeks. Yeah. I think, something might be off. This, that was the one sketch I noticed the most where I felt this just felt really kind of either watered down or subdued from what we had already seen.
Totally.
Because, 80% of what we saw on this movie and on the show is stuff you had seen. It's variations of what you have seen already.
Yeah.
And again, I hate to say it, either watered down or just not as good versions of what we've already seen.
My note was, did all of these writers actually work on this show, or are they giving them credit for things they wrote that she redid, that they wrote for Saturday Night Live that she redid here?
No, they're all new. I mean, they are all new things. It's just
kind
they're
of.
they're
Like,
solo shots.
Yeah.
No, like Emily Latilla actually felt more like Looks on Books than Weekend Update Emily Latilla. It felt like the first time we saw her.
Right.
Rosanna Dan is different. Judy Miller was probably the one recurring thing she did that could have played well, because that's always her by herself.
Right. And it's always
even
big
that,
and loud.
Something about this didn't work. Maybe to your point, it's too big of a room. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because that didn't work. The one thing I noticed, the only note I had about the Judy Miller sketch she did was she would throw herself at the door
Yeah.
And did you notice you could see her kicking the door with her foot
Yes.
instead of literally throwing her body into it? And that's obviously
Yeah. 50
a result of not
performances
doing
in.
it once.
Right.
Yeah, you're not doing it once, you're doing it 50 times. And you could, and I was watching for it, and you could see
Yeah.
it. She would kick the door with her foot instead of jump into it.
Yeah,
And it's
I
like,
saw that.
so she's already pulling back. And I think once you start to pull back a little bit, it bleeds into everything.
Yep.
For that sketch. And that was a sketch you would have thought would have played really well and just didn't come through. I don't think any of her recurring stuff played well.
I agree. Yeah.
I like the new stuff.
Yes. The old stuff though, like even Candy Slice, they sang the same song that they did on SNL.
I know.
And it's and to your point, like it just kind of felt like rinse and repeat here with a lot of this stuff. Even when it's new,
I agree.
It didn't feel it. Like even when it was different, it didn't feel new. The audition in the beginning with her tap dancing, I thought that was a lot of fun because it's different, right? We don't ever see her do that.
I like the opening song. Let's talk dirty to the animals.
Yes.
It was funny. It's a Michael O'Donoghue piece. That's what Michael contributed to the show. Actually, funny enough, originally written for Chevy Chase in one of their failed movies they were going to do, Saturday Matinee.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Thank you, Dennis. I, of course, had to ask Dennis about it. But yeah, but like that was fun. It's because you hadn't seen it before.
Right.
It was something fun and new. And it is very well. It's a funny piece. It's a funny piece, and she does it very well. And it's funny because it starts out strong. Like that's what starts the movie off.
Yep.
And then then she talks kind of very personal to the crowd about how this is what she always wanted to do.
Yeah.
She sat in the audience and saw people, and they seem to be having such a great time and talking to her.
Yep.
Yeah. And then she does the audition.
Yep.
Again, really funny. And then there's this whole middle chunk where she just repeats all this stuff until the end, and then she does that kind of fun song. Was it "Touch Me with My Clothes On" or whatever? And it's like, okay, it was okay. Like it was more of that. I think it would have been better.
Well, it was interesting because that as the beginning kind of set you up for, oh, this is going to be something different, maybe something personal from Gilda by Gilda, and it will give you kind of that look into things in a funny way. And then, Father Guido comes on after that first sketch, and he does a bit, and I thought he was good in the first bit, but then it goes then it goes to
the Quaaludes. That was the
Quaalude
joke,
right, with the older bishop.
I guess best.
It's hilarious. But then it comes back to Judy Miller, and now you're like, oh wait, all of those personal Gilda things that I thought I might get, I'm definitely not getting now. Now I'm just getting these characters that I know. And I honestly thought, well, maybe this is like, maybe we'll go back and forth between like a character and then something from Gilda doing like the audition, and we just don't. And it was a bummer.
It's sketch, Father Sarducci sketch, Father Sarducci sketch, and unfortunately, I feel like again, kind of subpar sketches. Like you've seen better versions of these sketches, of these characters in better situations, better. Some of them were just retreads, and they didn't, like the Goodbye Saccharine,
right?
It just didn't have the same punch, as when we saw it on TV.
Well, because you saw it before, and that's the thing. Like it's not,
and there's nothing new to it. It was nothing new except you're watching it with Rouge instead of like that was actually part of the fun of watching it on SNL is Jane and Lorraine and oh my God, Linda Ronstadt.
Right,
like, that's cool.
Exactly.
Now you're watching it. No offense, three chicks you don't know who they are, and you're like, whatever.
Right. I recently heard this. Stay with me here. I recently heard Patton Oswalt talking about a conversation he had with Chris Rock years ago. Are you familiar with this? So Chris Rock says...
Yeah, they were talking about our podcast, I believe, and they were big fans.
So Chris Rock said to Patton Oswalt, as a stand-up comedian, if you do an hour and film a special, and then you go out on tour, and you have another hour that you're not retreading your same jokes, you have a fan for life. If you're a musician, it's the exact opposite. If you record an album and you go out on tour and you don't play that album, people are pissed. The point is, Chris Rock was saying, if you're a comedian, you need to show up with new material all the time and people are going to love you. But once you start retreading stuff, that's when you lose fans and you just become like, oh yeah, he's that guy that does that bit. And there are plenty of comedians that you can think of that fall into that camp, right? And that was so prevalent to me with this of there's so much retread here that it just kind of felt like, okay, you did it. And, I don't need to see it again. It wasn't done as well. You didn't have the supporting characters. I think the nerd sketch is a great example of something that really needs someone. It's not a one person bit. Like Judy Miller is, Nerds is not.
None of hers are. Judy Miller's the only thing. Every other one of her characters needs to play off somebody.
Right.
Like even the Weekend Update bits, they play off. They rely so much on that relationship with Jane and playing off of Jane.
Well, you can see it with Rosanna Dana. She's supposed to, like, Paul's supposed to be the one.
God damn, that one was rough.
Yeah. It was just kind of, it felt thrown together. And Paul as the foil to Rosanna Dana, because he's not there, first of all, he's like behind her making faces. It's just very awkward and you don't get that same energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a disappointment.
The gymnast one was okay. Because we hadn't seen, you know what? Because we hadn't seen it before. We had seen the character, but not that, where she's trying to.
Right.
She kept calling it the parallel bars, but it was the uneven bars, but whatever. But like her doing the routine.
Brad, you stickler for gymnast routines.
But because what I really appreciate, like, she sold that actually. Like she had that smile on her face, that Gilda like glow, and she held it through the whole piece. And it was really funny, her like trying to do this routine on the bars because we hadn't seen it. And so I like that.
And even that was funny. Like she gets the chalk and puts the chalk on her hands and under her armpits and in her crotch.
She wrote on her ass.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, it was. Did you like the Father Sarducci kind of interstitials, the transitions, as a theme or a gimmick?
I did. Yes. As overall, I think I did. I think
as an idea, it worked well.
Correct. I think,
executed.
Yeah, it was mixed bag. Yeah. I mean, I really like him. I like his performance with these bits. I felt like they were, at the Weekend Update desk, he can be so intricate with his stories that he's telling and like really can kind of weave a tale, right? And pull things back around. And these all just felt really superficial, high level, like, I'm going to kind of get you from one point to another without much substance.
Yeah. You know what? They almost felt too long to me because he had pieces that worked. Like one of them, he was talking about 5-minute universities. And it's like,
oh, yeah,
that's all you're going to remember when you graduate from school. And then he had a bit about going to law school. He's like, I don't know, you got another minute?
Yes.
Like,
that was funny. I liked that.
He still got great lines. And then he does another one, which I feel like this might have been a retread, but about paying for your sins, where like you make X amount of money a day, and then you go to heaven, and then you pay for all your sins. And if you have any money left over, you stay in heaven. If not, which I feel that was a retread.
No, we haven't seen it on the show.
Oh,
we do see it in other places, but I don't believe we've seen it on SNL yet. Yeah.
But I like the idea because it did change it up a little bit, and they were different. It were, for the most part, aside from the one I may have misremembered, were new pieces of entertainment. So I liked seeing him. He's a good counter,
right,
to Gilda,
and
I like that.
He's even good with like the whole basketball net thing, right? Like he asks him to put it up and then bring it down, whatever. Like it was fun. He is a
Father
fun
Sarducci should not be doing physical humor. It's all about the verbiage and what he says.
He made the basketball shot.
Props. Unless it's a pizza, don't give him props.
Yeah. Last question, since he's the third person in this that we really see. How did you feel about Paul Schaefer being a performer in this piece? Yeah.
Paul Schaefer has limitations as a performer. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. And I think it needed more. I think it needed more than Paul Schaefer. I think the piece, the film, the show needed more. Paul, he was fine in what he did, but you can only ask him to do so much. You know what I mean? Like he played Don Kirshner. Of course he played Don Kirshner. He's great as Don Kirshner.
Yeah.
You get him to go outside his wheelhouse a bit more than that. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a good drummer for Candy Slice.
He's fine. Yeah. As a drummer, he's fine. Stick to the keys, Paul.
But to your point, I think I'd be interested if they just added one more person, whether it was Jane, whether it was Bill, like somebody who could have played a few different roles.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
you're not running away from SNL. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not. Let's be honest. You're not trying to do something completely different. So, like, fucking lean into it. And of course, you're probably not going to get Bill at this point, but like Jane would have been great.
Yeah, but
would
they want to do
Luebner,
that?
Why would you not? You're selling it as SNL. You're coming to see
but you're not. You're selling it
SNL
as Gilda.
stars.
Like, you're selling it as Gilda. So does Jane want to come?
Doing SNL,
right? Maybe you get
Jane probably doesn't want to come. That's a good point.
Right. I think it would be better if, again, maybe not instead of Paul, maybe in addition to Paul. Although I would.
I agree. Yeah. In addition,
you get someone from Second City who's like not really known, but has the chops to be on stage with Gilda and to like play that foil. Someone like that, right? Not
like an Edie McClure.
Sure, she would have been great,
right?
Yeah,
she'd been great.
Yeah,
I hear you. Like a brand, like yes, I hear what you're saying. A new character, something new. You're going to do these new sketches, introduce new characters because as we've been saying, these characters play best off other characters. I totally hear what you're saying. Yeah. It's a great idea. You're right. Get rid of the SNL people. Bring in new people.
Yeah, it's just someone that new awesome. who has the talent to do that and can be on stage with Gilda, right? And not to knock Paul Schaefer, but he's not the one that can do that. That's all.
No, he's serviceable in what he needs to do, and he does it well. Like
serviceable. I like that.
Rate and review, everybody. That's a great point, though. That's a great idea. Yes, a Groundlings or a Second City person. Goddamn, Catherine O'Hara, anybody. Oh my God, that would have been so great.
Yeah,
it would have been amazing to see.
Yeah,
Andrea Martin.
Oh, Andrea Martin.
Eugene Levy, any of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think the SCTV people would want to do it either, to be honest with you. But if you get someone from the stage and give them this platform, I think they would have jumped at it.
That would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
That's a very, very interesting idea.
I'm just saying this. I found another hole in Lorne's producing, Brad. This is
well, you do hate him, so.
All right. Well, Gilda Live. Yeah, that's
Gilda Live. Yeah, I mean, I feel like. Have you seen this before?
No.
We should have started with this question.
I had not. No. It was always one of those things where I was like, I don't know that I really want to see that. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, I had good instincts there.
Yeah. I had watched it like once a long, long time ago. So I'd forgotten almost all of it. And now I remember why.
Yeah.
But I am interested. I hope someone please comment on like Gilda diehards, what they think of it. Like, I wonder what they think of this. Do they love it, or are they just kind of like, oh, it could have been more? Because I'm not admittedly not I love Gilda Radner, but like, I'm not looking for a Gilda Radner one-woman show.
Right.
To see.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm interested to see like how the people who are like diehard Gilda fans and love her, if, like me with John, they think this is amazing.
Right. Yeah. Well, if any Gilda fans are still listening, because we clearly said that we didn't really like it, please write to us.
I feel like we were very good about this, though.
No,
this is I'm not, bitch that we negative. I feel like we were good.
No, we were
as good as we can be.
Well, we gave it a shot. That's it.
You know what's funny? So I was watching an interview recently with Alan Zweibel, or Zweebs as we're supposed to call him.
That's right. Yes.
Mitchell told us. And so apparently, just going back to the SNL world and the dynamics of it all, Zweibel apparently announced that he was engaged on opening night of the Broadway show.
Oh, that's right.
Whatever that was.
Yes.
And he told this story, because obviously him and Gilda were very close and had a relationship. But I think we've talked about in our show about Gilda's just domestic world and life, her visiting Jane and seeing what married life is like and whatnot. Anyway, Zweibel mentioned that, so it's August, and he mentions they get engaged, and it was only months later that all of a sudden Gilda's engaged to G.E. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
who, by my math, she just met at the Broadway show.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
And it's interesting because in the G.E. Smith interview I watched, he does not mention their personal life. He mentions Gilda as a performer and what it was like working with her,
Right.
but does not touch at all upon personal and
Interesting.
romantic and anyway. So just again, the dynamics of bringing it back into the SNL world and where people are and how people are bouncing off each other. It was interesting when I heard that, because I don't know the Gilda timeline well enough to know, like, now I know when GE showed up and when they got and all that. So
Interesting.
yeah.
All right. Well, let us know what you think about Gilda Live if you've seen it. If you were there and saw it in person, definitely write in.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear how the live. I do think the live show was much better because you've got that just excitement
probably,
of, again, it's Gilda Radner in prime SNL.
Yeah.
I don't know what you equate that to right now, but you're just like, oh my God, I'm here and I'm watching Gilda. Literally, I'm watching Gilda live.
Right.
Like, yes,
Yeah.
I get it. Does not translate well to film.
No, it did not. That's it for this week. Next week, we're going back with another vintage early years of SNL. We are going to once again talk about one of the episodes that probably led to Gilda Live happening in the first place. This is going to be part 1 of season 3, episode 18, hosted by Steve Martin with musical guests, the Blues Brothers. We actually have an interview with Paul Schaefer, whom we talked about a lot tonight, in that episode. So check us out next week. We're going to listen to that again. It's a great show. It's a good listen. Lots of good interviews. Lots of fun. Until then, good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to the Not Ready for Primetime Project. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, please take a moment to rate and review the project wherever you find us. You can also drop us a line to let us know what you liked or didn't and what else you might like to hear in the future at nr4ptproject@gmail.com. The original music for Deep Thoughts is provided by Jacob Spiewak. The announcer is Jason Taylor.